Nationwide protests mark compliance to NLC's demonstration against rising cost of living. 20 students died from meningitis as outbreak hits 3 local government areas in Yobe. The Central Bank of Nigeria MPC Committee hikes interest rates to 22.75% as economic slowdown continues. On the foreign scene, death toll in Gaza nears 30,000 amid ongoing ceasefire talks. Many thanks for joining us on the News Hour. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. We begin in Abuja as the nationwide protest in the Federal Capital Territory took hold when the NLC and other organized unions began the 2-day protest across the country addressing concerns over the high cost of living, inflation, insecurity, and general hardship prevailing across the country. The protests commenced from the NLC headquarters in Abuja and concluded at the premises of the National Assembly. Participating unions include the Medical and Health Workers Union of Nigeria, the National Association of Nigerian Nurses and Midwives, and the Nigeria Union of Teachers, as well as Construction Workers Union, among many others. Trust TV's Sagir Ibrahim, who closely followed the protests in Abuja, brings us more.
These were the chants which rendered the air of the National Assembly premises as Nigerians in company of the leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress picketed the Federal Parliament to register the concerns of millions of Nigerians currently facing hardship due to the economic situation in the country. NLC President Joe Ajaero, who submitted the letter containing the demands of the organized labour unions to the National Assembly leadership, decried the dire situation being faced by the average Nigerian citizen, a situation he says the NLC can no longer stomach.
There is problem in the land. People are dying of hunger. People are dying of banditry. Insecurity is everywhere. Kidnapping is everywhere. You kidnap a poor man, you ask for millions. Where is he going to get the millions? The federal government should announce immediate measures to stop hunger. The Nigerian Labour Congress National Executive Council will meet this evening to review this situation. Having made this statement and taken it to the representative of the people all over the country, we have to meet this night to decide the next line of action.
Receiving the letter on behalf of the Senate President, the chairman of the Senate Committee on Labour, Employment and Productivity, Senator Dickett Plank, assured Labour that all of their demands have been noted and they should look out for positive changes within the shortest possible time.
Later on, negotiation will go on about the minimum wage. Resolution will be met. We are sensitive. Our leadership are restless to ensure that we mitigate the issue of hunger, the issue of unemployment, and the issue of insecurity. But all of us must be on the same page. It's my duty, it's your duty. We must all agree and work towards making sure that Nigerians are safe, Nigerians are not hungry, and Nigerians are secured.
Deji Adeonju, a prominent right activist who also spoke with the media, described the protest as a means of bringing the president up to speed with the true situation of the country. He called for swift government intervention to prevent the situation from escalating beyond control.
Sincerely hungry dey the country, and government at all levels, whether state government, local government, federal government must cut costs. If care is not taken, the poor man will have no other option but to eat the rich in this country. Yes. You know, these people that are living here, that are feeling safe, this place, one day, if they don't make drastic changes about this country, one day this place will not be safe enough for them to even sit and deliberate.
Meanwhile, another set of protesters were seen within the vicinity of the National Assembly. They demanded that President Tinubu be given time to address the issues raised by the organized labor.
We are with the people, we are with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, we are fully in support of the policies and programs so far implemented by the government. Let's give the government at least 2 years. Let's see the impact of these policies. If these policies are not positively impacting on the masses of our country, then we will collaborate with TUC, NANS, Youth Council and every civil society organization to come out at the forefront to protest against the government.
While delivering a letter to the chairman of the Senate Committee of Labour and Employment,
The NLC president said that the National Working Committee of the NLC will be meeting later in the day to decide whether this protest would turn to a full-blown industrial action where we'd see the NLC and other members of the union down their tools, all in protest to the state of the nation and the state of the economy. From the National Assembly in Abuja, Sagir Ibrahim, reporting for Trust TV.
Well, to some breaking news now. The leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress has announced the suspension of its nationwide street protests across the country. The leadership of the Nigerian Labour Congress just moments ago this evening directed its members to suspend the second-day nationwide protest, saying it has achieved great success with the first day of the protest. The president of the NLC, Joe Ajero, gave the directive shortly after an emergency National Executive Council meeting of the Congress, saying the street protests might be suspended, but engaging the media will not stop. Reading the communique jointly signed by the Acting General Secretary of the Union, Ismail Bello, at the Labour House, Ajero said the National Executive Council considered the protest suspension to reaffirm and extend the 7 days ultimatum by another 7 days, which now expires on the 13th day of March 2024. The NLC president also said this period is within which the government is expected to implement all the earlier agreements of October 2nd last year, insisting that a drastic action would be taken if the government fails to again implement those agreements reached with Labour. The NLC leader also says the NEC, which is the NEC, is in session thereafter, review the execution of the first day of the nationwide protest to assess the effectiveness and take decision on further necessary action to guide the Congress in its effort to engage the government in protecting the people and Nigerian workers from the increasing scourge of hardship in the country. So just to recap, the Nigeria Labour Congress, coming out of its emergency National Executive Council meeting, has decided to suspend the second day of its planned 2-day nationwide strike action, saying that it has recorded tremendous success with the first day of the protest. So no more protests going forward, especially as it also announced the extension of another 7 days to its earlier 14 days ultimatum to the federal government to work on the agreements reached with Labour. Well, let's bring you some more of the day's events. As the Kaduna State chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress has called on the federal government to reverse the fuel subsidy removal in order to ease the hardship Nigerians are currently facing in the aftermath of the implementation of the policy. The union had said this while participating in a peaceful protest ordered by the national body of the union. Trust TV's Bello Musa, who monitored the protest, reports that the exercise held under the tight security in Kaduna metropolis. His report.
In their hundreds, protesters stormed the street to participate in this peaceful protest against economic, security and other challenges bedeviling Nigerians after subsidy removal, which resulted to the persistent hike in prices of goods and services in the market.
Let's just put the record very clear. There is a dilemma here. Whether threat from government or the reality of life we are facing, all of them are threats. And we have to choose the one that we align with. And for me, there is no gainstay the point we are making, except if the government in power today, plus the elite that are supporting them, just want to say they are insensitive to the reality on ground.
We are saying there is hunger in the land, there is insecurity in the land, and people are not happy. These are the three messages. And you can see even from the description of our banner, it's the simple message we are sending. So we are doing this protest, not a strike, to tell the world and tell the governments and the elites of Nigeria that the masses, the downtrodden, the workers are really facing hardship. The inflation is all over.
They said the negative effect of the policy is being felt more by ordinary Nigerians.
Since what they have done is selfish, because there is no any sacrifice they are paying for it. There is no reductions of their benefits. All their movement is intact. In short, the first thing the president did was to dole out 5 billion for the state governors, and just to settle them for the campaign. So the politicians are not losing anything. The people that are suffering are the masses that are on the street and the workers that are going to work.
We are going to even have more crowd tomorrow, God willing.
Despite the withdrawal from TUC.
No, TUC, my president have just said, is a center of itself. It's not a joint project. This is NLC. NLC is providing leadership, and we are not talking of TUC. TUC is a trade center, as my president have really said. They are on their own, and they have their modality. They have their mode of operation.
The protest commenced from the NLC Secretariat, went through the State Assembly, and terminated at the Union Secretariat. Bello Musa, Trust TV News.
More from the protests earlier today. Low turnout on Tuesday highlighted the protests organized by the Nigerian Labour Congress in Kano State over the current high cost of living in Nigeria. The workers, though few in number, are asking the federal government to implement measures that will help mitigate the current hardship across the country. Trust TV's Idris Jibrin reports that just a few hundred protesters attended the rally in Kano.
Carrying placards with different inscriptions, members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress and other relevant stakeholders are out on the streets of Kano metropolis to demand for action from government. According to the workers, the removal of fuel subsidy and the failure of the federal government to come up with measures to mitigate its effects is largely responsible for the current situation.
An agreement was reached between the federal government and the organized labor. 16 items were agreed upon. None of the item was implemented 20%. It amazes us, after issuing our intention to embark on this protest, federal civil servants were paid their wage awards for 4 months in 5 days. What a cruel system. Does it mean that the money was there? Does it mean that the government have the capacity to pay them and it did not?
The protesters who began their protest at the racecourse ground to the government house are, among other things, asking for the reopening of land borders and other measures to mitigate current hardship, as well as the immediate payment of wage awards to workers.
Part of what the Congress is asking for is adoption of measures to mitigate the increasing hardship in the country via mechanisms that will allow for immediate food availability locally. We suggest a reopening of the land borders to allow food, cement, and other essentials to come in. Emergency measures to ensure food security around the country, including ensuring that farmlands are secured so that farmers can return to the land. We propose an immediate removal of the collection of levies, fees, dues, and tolls from petty traders across the nation by local and state governments.
While receiving the workers, the Kano State Head of Service, Abdullahi Musa, assured the workers that Kano State government will continue to ensure that the rights of workers are protected, adding that so far, Kano State government has remained proactive in the timely payment of workers' salaries and allowances.
We have received your letter, we have heard the content of the letter, and the government will inshallah deliver the letter to Mr. President for actions on issues raised in the letter. On the issues of wage award, which you have been mentioning, with you and us, we met, we agree on what you have said to yourself, and inshallah, plans are underway to very soon attend to that request.
Despite the low turnout, the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress assured that the protest will continue on Wednesday. Idris Jibrin, Trust TV News, Kano.
Elsewhere, the protest by the Nigerian Labour Congress over the current state of the economy has elicited mixed reactions. While the labour unions say it is acting in the best interest of the masses, some residents in Gombe State have accused the union of worsening the situation, suggesting it is better to seek alternatives than resort to traditional protest. Hassan Koli has more on their views.
On Tuesday, the Gombe chapter of the Nigeria Labour Congress participated in the nationwide protest in solidarity with the other chapters to drive home the message that Nigerians are unhappy with the current state of affairs. However, some individuals expressed the view that the protests are symbolic and do not yield result in the long run. The NLC consistently assert that their protests are in the best interest of the masses. However, in my opinion, they often prove ineffective. I believe that the labor unions primarily benefit from such protests rather than people like myself. I have even heard that the president directed the release of tons of grains and grants for small-scale business owners, yet I have not received anything so far. For individuals like Usman Producer, the protest may serve as a means of addressing issues, but there are likely more effective measures to swiftly address the current hardship. While this protest holds significant importance for all of us as means to appeal to government to alleviate our hardships, the most effective approach to tackling the current economic situation may lie in implementing a price control policy. The labor union has reiterated that protests are the sole means to effectively communicate to the government the severity of the challenges posed by escalating insecurity and economic downturn affecting the lives and livelihoods of millions of Nigerians nationwide. Hassan Koli, Trust TV News, Gombe.
Staying with the protest, the Nigeria Labour Congress on Tuesday held a peaceful protest in Jos, the Plateau State capital, to draw attention of the federal government and state governments to the high cost of living in the country. The protest is in line with the directive of the national body of the union, which had ordered a nationwide protest over the biting economic hardship, as well as the failure of government to honor its agreements with the organized labor. Adu Musa monitored the protests in Jos and now reports.
Security operatives, including the police, soldiers and civil defense corps, had already stationed at the Federal Secretariat roundabout, which is the venue of the protest, even before the arrival of the protesters, to ensure that the exercise went on smoothly. Members of the NLC gathered at the venue of the protest to voice their dissatisfaction with the economic hardship being experienced in the country. Addressing journalists, the state chairman of the NLC, Eugene Manji, said the protest was to draw the attention of the government to the difficulties Nigerians are facing following the removal of the fuel subsidy.
Everybody is facing the harsh condition. Parents and the students and the children, everybody. All the journalists as well, I know everybody is facing it. Either you buy the fuel directly or you pay transport. Either you are affected directly or indirectly, you are affected. So you don't need anyone to tell you, once you are in Nigeria and you are in Nigeria, you know that situations are not the same. And we want to express our grievances to the federal government of Nigeria to do the needful before it goes beyond control. If you look at other states, they've already started the demonstration. Ours is peaceful for the time being.
Other protesters explained their reasons for participating in the exercise.
Living condition of Nigerian worker is poor, and based on the economic situation of the country, we are doing this process to exercise our rights, that the government will be able to see reasons with the Nigerian workers why some of its policies need to be adjusted to favor the present situation of the Nigerian workers.
Honestly, the common man cannot live and he cannot breathe because of the way government suffocates the effort of people. As of now, you cannot even afford to buy one bag of even rice to eat with your family. So the life became unbearable. So we can't even sustain that. So we must have to voice out to the world to hear our yearning. Because really we are in pains. Because if the worker cannot even buy anything, how do you expect a common man that is moving on the street to buy a one mudu of maize for himself.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever.
The NLC protest is expected to continue on Wednesday nationwide. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Well, to Katsina now, where the NLC protests alongside its affiliate members have complemented the protests nationwide against the current economic hardship faced by millions of Nigerians. The protesting workers were seen holding placards along Ring Road to Liafa Hotel roundabout, through Barahim Housing Estate roundabout to the NLC house in the state, chanting solidarity songs. Now, workers want both the federal and state governments to take measures aimed at easing the current economic hardship, pushing many Nigerians to the brink. The NLC chairman in Katsina State, Hamisu Enduna, says the protest was in compliance with the directives given to all state chapters of the NLC to come out en masse to express their anger over the difficulties currently faced by Nigerians. The NLC boss in Katsina State blames bad economic policies of the Tinubu administration, which is impacting negatively on all ordinary Nigerians irrespective of status, and calls on all state actors to do the needful before things get out of hand. Comrade Enduna expressed dismay over the critical condition of civil servants, calling on the government to implement living wages that will guarantee decent livelihood to workers and other Nigerians. Abdullahi Murari reports that Katsina residents were fully behind the NLC and also blamed government for its ineffective response to address the plight of the people.
Today, the 27th of February 2024, during a two-day protest, fraternal greetings from the leadership of the Congress, Katsina State Council. We stand here today united, not in celebrations, but in protest. We gathered as a pause to rest. We gathered here today united in celebration, but in protest. We gathered as a pause to raise our voices against the hardship that grip our communities and threaten the very foundation of our livelihood.
Now, divergent opinions continue to surface regarding the nationwide peaceful protest orchestrated by the Nigerian Labour Congress concerning the prevailing hardships in the country. Despite many Nigerians grappling with the high cost of living, the NLC's protests experienced low turnout in certain states across the country. On Monday, the federal government was unable to persuade the labor unions to call off the protest. Trust TV's Ibrahim Ismail in this report samples the views of residents in the federal capital.
Following the removal of fuel subsidy in May 2023, the Tinubu administration has engaged in ongoing negotiations with the leadership of the Nigeria Labour Congress to address the fallout of its impact on the lives of Nigerians. The primary aim has been to alleviate the challenges faced by millions of citizens grappling with the harsh economic policies implemented by the government. Despite Labour's resilience to proceed with its planned protest, citing it as being in the interest of the people, a segment of the population contends that such demonstrations have proven to be counterproductive.
Of course it is. Can't you see? Can't you see? There are so many people who are angry in Nigeria. So people will take advantage of the protest. They begin, look, there is no point for this strike. I'm still telling you, there is no point for it, my brother. On a very serious note, let us wait for this government. Let us see what this government is able to do, and then let us let the government engage those people who are sabotaging his effort. There are a lot of people in this country. There are so many people in this country who are sabotaging the effort of this government. Let us wait and see what this government can do.
One way or the other, they are protesting against their pocket. But we, as an individual, we want government to give us a loan. Give us a loan that will facilitate our business.
Other respondents, while speaking to Trust TV, reflect on the current inflation and general cost of living in the country. Aligning with the labor union and its demands.
The protest about labor, they're supposed to do it because everything now, we are finding difficulties. No food, no money. And then, the small money where you go get, something where you go buy, chop, everything don't cost. Then we are feeling, we are just living, even pure water, 15 naira is too much. And they know, they will not sell it 100 naira 3. They no go sell, if sell 3 for 100 naira. So that thing is too much. Everybody don't tire.
If of a truth that everything will be okay tomorrow, or what the labor are doing will help the masses, for the good of the masses, then they should go ahead. It's a welcoming idea. We want a better tomorrow for all Nigerians.
Beyond protest and table negotiations between the federal government and the labor, it is clear that Nigerians only need an economy that works to be able to put food on the table. Ibrahim Ismail, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Away from the protests now, 12 years after it received the Stephen Oransai report, the federal government on Monday approved the implementation of some of its recommendations to reduce the cost of governance. Consequently, 29 government agencies will be merged, even as 8 parastatals will be subsumed into 8 other agencies. In this report, Noel Sampson examines the diverse reactions from the public on the potential impact of the implementation of the report.
Since its formulation, the Oransai report was championed as a panacea to the huge size of government agencies and operations. The government's pronouncement has sent shockwaves across the country as concerns grow over possible job losses if the report is implemented 100%. The imminent merger and scrapping of government agencies, according to the Tinubu administration, is in the best interest of the nation.
The vision of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in ensuring that credible information is given out to the Nigerian public, and in turn, government is expecting that members of the media will also report policies and programs of government responsibly, honestly, and truthfully.
The special advisor to the president on policy and coordination as a member. The 2 senior special assistants to the president on National Assembly are members, and the Cabinet Affairs Office will serve as secretariat. The committee would look at the administrative restructuring and also the legislative amendments required to ensure the full implementation of the recommendations. There are other aspects of recommendations that have also been passed to the committee to relook at.
Reacting to these developments, a public affairs commentator has described the move as unpopular but necessary for efficiency in government.
Somehow, I think the understanding of the Oransai report is that there are so many agencies that have been duplicated that are doing the same thing. For example, and I say it, what is the role of EFCC? What is the role of ICPC? Generally, they're doing the same thing. And if they're doing the same thing, why can't they work together as one agency that is very strong and powerful, that have resources?
Meanwhile, FCT residents have reacted to the government's consent to implement the report.
This is actually affecting our economy because each department, each agency, there is always an allocation from the budget. And at the end of the year, you don't even see anything they are using these monies to do. You just, in fact, in most cases, some of these, they are moribund. They are just there just to assist somebody there, probably to favor one political ally or just to make sure that somebody gets something.
It's good because the federal government will save about 240 something billion based on what I read from Oransai report. So it's good.
Nigerians remain divided over likely impact and implications of the new move to streamline and cut costs of governance. Noel Sampson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Now, Yobe State is currently grappling with a suspected meningitis outbreak as several boarding public schools have been affected, resulting in the tragic loss of at least 20 students in Potiskum, Fika, and Fune local government areas of the state. The outbreak initially struck Government Science Technical College, Government Girls Science Technical College, and the Federal Government Girls College, all situated in Potiskum. Speaking under anonymity, a local source revealed to Daily Trust that the disease outbreak claimed the lives of 20 students across the 3 affected public schools in Potiskum. The afflicted students have been admitted to, other afflicted students have been admitted to the specialist hospital in Potiskum, where they are currently undergoing treatment and showing signs of recovery. Confirming the outbreak, the Commissioner for Basic and Secondary Education in the state, Mohammed Sani Idris, disclosed that the governor has ordered the State Ministry of Education to relocate temporarily to Potiskum in response to the crisis. The Commissioner further stated that while the situation is dire, several students admitted to the Potiskum Specialist Hospital are exhibiting positive responses to the treatment. You're watching the news hour on Trust TV. Still to come. Federal government advocates introduction of skill acquisition in school curriculum for human capital development. Details of this and many more stories coming up ahead after the break. Welcome back to the news. Let's take another look at the headlines. NLC calls off second day of protest as compliance is observed 100% across the country. 20 students died from a possible meningitis outbreak in Yobe State. Moving on to some of the day's other news stories, the Katsina State Police Command, in collaboration with the military, has rescued 10 kidnapped victims between Kukar, Babangida and Engaya Feeder Road in the state. The rescue, which was effected on Sunday, followed a routine patrol along the Feeder Road by a joint patrol team which came under serious fire from suspected armed bandits. A statement by the Katsina State Police Command spokesperson Abubakar Ali on Tuesday noted that operational competence of the patrol team promptly returned fire and succeeded in foiling the ambush and also rescuing 10 kidnapped victims in the process. The statement added that the State Commissioner of Police has commended the officers for the exceptional display of gallantry, urging the people of the state to continue to support the police as well as other security agencies in the state with timely information for swift and decisive action against all forms of crime and criminality in the state. Still talking security, the Taraba State Police Command says it has rescued over 40 kidnapped victims and arrested 10 kidnappers in Zing and Yoro local government areas of the state. The Taraba State Police Commissioner David Iloya Lomo disclosed this during a press briefing at the headquarters of the command of the anti-kidnapping squad in Jalingo, the Taraba State capital. The report.
Commissioner Iloya Lomon stated that as part of efforts to complement the efforts of sister security agencies in tackling kidnappings and banditry in the state, the command, in collaboration with hunters and vigilant groups, arrested 10 kidnappers and rescued over 40 abducted victims that were in captivity for weeks.
The ones I am going to relate to you now is the one that happened at Gomaliki Mountains and beyond, where 40 kidnapped victims were rescued from the kidnappers' dens. They have been taken to the police clinic for medical examination, counseling, and treatment. The victims have various degrees of injuries and ailments, including one Musa Mashi, who has two gunshot injuries, while the right eye of one Sunday was plucked out by the kidnappers. So they are all referred to specialists for further treatment.
Some of the rescued kidnapped victims said they spent almost 3 months in the kidnappers' den, adding that kidnappers had vowed to kill them unless the government called them for negotiations.
Fidelix. The kidnappers picked us up on Sunday night and threatened to take us to Cameroon and kill us there. When they saw the police, they started shooting and abusing them and asking them to come pick our corpse. They shot me and the other man beside me and thought we were dead. Both of us sustained gunshot injuries. They later kidnapped me, my father, and my mother. They later paid 4 million naira as a ransom before they were released.
Da farko muna zaune ne a kauyenmu, muna zaman lafiya.
When they came to our village, some of the villagers took to their heels. They met me and asked me to go and buy paracetamol for them, but I refused because I was afraid, and I was later adopted. Moments later, members of the vigilante group came to see what was happening, and they found the kidnappers shooting and burning houses in our area. As I am talking to you now, my house has been burnt, and we heard them saying they will not kill us, but will keep us until the government calls them for negotiation.
According to the police commissioner, the police will sustain the clearance operations and intensify patrols in the remaining areas of the state to ensure that peace reigns supreme.
In a devastating turn of event, a 33-year-old freelance photographer was brutally murdered by unknown assailants. The heart-wrenching incident unfolded in the early hours of Tuesday at a residence in the Tudun Fulani area of Minna, the Niger State capital. According to eyewitnesses, the killer stormed the flat where Zacchaeus lived with his family, ruthlessly ending his life with stabbings. Shockingly, after other tenants in the building were held captive while the perpetrators forcibly gained access to the flat. In a grim display of callousness, the attackers looted the victim's belongings, including his laptop, a camera, before fleeing the scene. The community mourns the loss of one of their talented photographers and a beloved family man, as authorities have vowed to swiftly investigate and bring the perpetrators to justice. Now, fish plays a crucial role in maintaining a healthy and balanced diet, as they are an excellent source of protein, essential vitamins, and omega-3 fatty acid. Victoria Tokolo visited the Oluwo Fish Market in Ekpe, in the largest fish market in Lagos, and sheds light on the challenges faced by fish traders in the bustling market. Her report.
The Oluwo Fish Market, commonly referred to as the Ekpe Fish Market, stands out as the largest fish market in Lagos State. Situated in Ekpe, just beyond the Ekpe Township in Lagos State, it has long been recognized as the most affordable fish market in the state. However, the recent economic inflation has shifted this perception dramatically, as a bowl of shrimp, previously priced at 6,800 naira, has now soared to 15,000 naira, while the cost of 1 kilogram of croaker fish has escalated from 200 naira or 300 naira to 4,500 naira. The market is predominantly operated by women traders, specializing exclusively in the sale of fresh fish, all of which are sourced directly from the water and sold alive. Fish farmers from the Ekpe community who spoke with Trust TV shared insight into the myriad challenges they currently face within the fish business sector.
Help from government, help us to give us cold room. We go use it to provide our fish. Firstly, secondly, the leaf wey dey the river now, I think you see the leaf is disturb all of the farmers, because the leaf dey kill our fish. When e kill it, after 30 minutes, e go spoil.
We call it in our Yoruba land as a gbebo, but it's disturbing our canoe. When we are coming in the morning, when we start in the 6:30, we can reach this place at 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, because of problem of this thing.
Wetin government want to do for Ekpe, say make e help us this thing, make it government make e do for Ekpe, make e help this thing for comot from this river, so Ekpe fish, if e come, e go see better fish.
An array of boats sails into the bustling Oluwo market, each laden with fish from various rivers and lakes. The market is alive with activity, and citizens from both the city and countryside flock to purchase their preferred fish directly from the water.
In rainy season times, the rain was falling. If the rain did very well, you cannot even move. You stay for one place. Because if the rain not even heavy, you can move about it.
This fish is a dosun. We call it a dosun Yoruba. Dami in English. We have big one. This one is a small one. We are not in the season now. When we are in the season, we need the big ones.
Ekbe's Oluwo Fish Market stands as the premier destination in Lagos State for the sale and distribution of freshwater fish, not only serving the local populace, but also catering to the needs of neighboring cities across the state. The market buzzes with activities as fish retailers from various cities converge to procure the finest catches available.
Madam fish, I dey buy am for a pen. I dey buy am before. I dey buy am 10,000. But now, everything dey cost. I dey buy am 30,000, 25,000, 40,000. If you want buy small fish from a pen, go for Lagos. E dey cost. We are buying a package of croaker fish before. 200, 300, 500, but now package of croaker fish is 4,500.
Fresh fish stands as a highly sought after and notorious food product, yet its perishable nature presents a significant challenge for preservation. Effective storage methods such as refrigeration and freezing are essential to maintaining its quality and safety. Hence, fish farmers and traders at the Oluwo Fish Market recognize the need for additional support from the state government to optimize their operations.
The federal government says efforts are on to reintegrate skill acquisition into the school curriculum. The Minister of State for Education, Yusuf Sununu, disclosed this while pledging support for the National Sewing Talent Hunt in Abuja. Here's Trust TV's Habibat Ajayi with the rest of the story.
In a country where innovation and progress are a common phenomenon, government support, as convened by the minister, will further enhance the employability of young Nigerians and consequently reduce unemployment rates. Minister Sununu emphasized the importance of embracing homemade Nigerian goods and encouraged citizens to support local industries.
Government is thinking out of the box. How do you encourage individuals to invest in their own skills? How do you make them to expand? And the time is not any other time than now. And that's why in our own thinking we're also looking at the review of the idea projects, which is going to provide those skills and knowledge, character to children to ensure that some funds are given to engage artisans in their activities so that we can fund them.
Brains behind the National Sewing Talent Initiative are calling on relevant stakeholders to address the stigmatization of skills acquisition in the country.
Part of Nigeria whatsoever, who has the skill and the talent in vocational skill, by this will get a platform to express himself and get celebrated and become the role model that challenges every other person, that through such kind of medium, a child of a nobody in Nigeria could receive a presidential handshake and tomorrow become a role model to inspire and encourage every other child.
By promoting the embrace of locally made goods and addressing the stigma surrounding skills acquisition, the government is paving the way for a more prosperous and innovative future for the nation. Habibat Ajayi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
In other news, the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria has increased the benchmark interest rate by 400 basis points to a record 22.75%. The Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Cardoso, disclosed this while reading the communique of the first MPC meeting of the year on Tuesday in Abuja. Trust TV's Chamunda Beng tells us more.
Nigeria's inflation rate, coupled with several economic challenges, has continued to put a strain on the country's economic stability. However, to tame the tide of rising inflation, the Monetary Policy Committee finds it imperative to jack up the interest rate by 400 basis points.
Raise the MPR by 400 basis points to 22.75 from 18.75%.
Also concerned about the distortions in the foreign exchange market that have been responsible for the declining value of the naira, the CBN clarified a new regime which provides a $20,000 window to genuine bureau de change operators to access.
The committee's decisions were centered on the current inflationary and exchange rate pressures, projected inflation, and rising inflation expectations.
In what appears to be a departure from the past, the Central Bank of Nigeria reiterates its decision to move away from interventionist approach to financing to now focus on its key mandate. Chamun Dabeng, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Let's get some more business updates now and join Chiamaka Enendu for the latest.
This is the business news segment. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. News coming from the CBN. In a move aimed at rectifying the persisting distortions in the retail segment of Nigeria's foreign exchange market, the CBN has taken a decisive step to bridge the widening gap in the exchange rate. And through a circular released by Hassan Mahmood, the Director of Trade and Exchange Department, the CBN has announced its decision to distribute $20,000 to each eligible bureau de change operators across the country. And this initiative is part of the broader effort to achieve a market-driven exchange rate for the naira and alleviates the pressures feeding into the parallel market. And this allocation will be sold at a rate of 1,301 naira per dollar, reflecting the lower band rate of executed sports transactions at the Nigerian Autonomous Foreign Exchange Market as of the previous trading day dated February 27 to 2024, and this strategy is anticipated to inject the much-needed liquidity into the market and stabilize the naira's value. And now to other news. In an unexpected turn of event, sharply contrasting with the prior optimistic outlook of U.S.-Nigeria economic relations, Nigeria observed a dramatic 88% fall in its foreign capital intake from the United States during the last quarter of 2023, according to the National Bureau of Statistics. And this pronounced decrease saw capital inflows from the U.S. fall from $27.04 million in the third quarter of to $8.34 million in the fourth quarter, marking the lowest level of U.S. capital importation into Nigeria ever recorded. And this downturn is not merely a quarter anomaly, but also signifies a distressing 80% year-over-year decline from $42.16 million recorded in the same quarter of the preceding year, highlighting a notable warning of American economic interest in Nigeria as the year concluded. And despite the slump in the fourth quarter, the United States remained one of the top 10 contributors to Nigeria's foreign capital pool for 2023. And right about now, let us see how the NGX fared during today's trading session, where we did see the all-share index drop by 1.38% at 101,995.21. The market cap hit 55 trillion naira, with a volume of trade hitting 280,463 million. The value of trade hit 6.12 billion, with 9,141 deals exchanging hands on the floor of the exchange. And now to the top gainers, where AfriProd also led the gainers chart, up by 9.86% at 7 naira 80 kobo, and Omatech also was up by 9.86%, going for 78 kobo per share price. And Julie, on the other hand, also emerged as one of the top gainers, up by 9.73% at 2 naira 83 kobo per share price. And on the losers chart, we see First Bank Nigeria Holdings leading the charts, down by 10% at 30 naira 60 kobo per share price, with Multiverse following FBNH on that list, down by 10.00% at 15 naira naira 20.30 kobo per share price. And lastly, we see MTN Nigeria down as well by 9.94% at 202 naira 90 kobo. And now to the top trades and market movers, where Transcorp Nigeria emerged as the top trade for today's trading session at 44.4 million shares, while Access Holding emerged at 30.6 million shares, while the United Bank for Africa ended the trading day at 26.5 million shares. And now let's take a look at how other markets across Africa fared during today's trading session. And now to the currency market, where we did see the naira appreciate over other currencies at the parallel market, where the forex is sold unofficially, aligning with heightened efforts to address the persisting depreciation of the naira in the parallel market. Let's take a look at how the naira fared against other currencies today. And lastly, in the commodities market, we did see crude oil sustain the pattern we have seen it have in the past trading days. Let's take a look at how crude oil fared in the markets today. And that's it on the business news. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Back to the news.
All right, let's take a look at developments on the international scene. Gaza's health ministry says 96 people have been killed and 172 wounded in 24 hours. Meanwhile, Foreign Ministry spokesperson Majid Al-Ansari says Qatar is optimistic that a deal on a ceasefire or cessation of hostilities would be achieved before Ramadan fast commences, while United States President Joe Biden says he hopes, quote, by next Monday there will be a ceasefire to allow the captives to be released from Gaza. He added that there is a commitment from Israel not to conduct activities during the holy month of Ramadan, which would give time for the captives to be brought out of Gaza. President Biden says as well that this would create a dynamic that perhaps would lead to a longer-term solution. But significantly, the President of the United States was also strongly critical of the current Israeli government, describing it as deeply conservative and saying that Israel, that should it remain in this particular nature, it will lose support around the world. Just before we go, let's bring you up to speed with the latest in sports. Here's Adeni Ajishafe with the latest.
The interim coach of Team Nigeria table tennis, Segun Toriola, has declared the readiness of the team to compete for honors at the upcoming African Games. The Nigerian team had a competition to forget in the just concluded WTT Championship held in Busan, Korea. The four-time African champion said all the senior players, including Aruna Kodri, are ready to win laurels in Ghana. And in handball, Team Nigeria has arrived in Uzbekistan ahead of the IHF Women's Trophy Intercontinental for the Under-18 girls event. The team, led by coach Shitu Agbola, departed Nigeria on Sunday after intensive training. The Nigerian side is in Group A alongside Guadeloupe and New Caledonia. Nigeria's Under-18 handball girls will begin their campaign on Wednesday against Guadeloupe before playing New Caledonia in the championship. And in football, Super Falcons head coach Randy Wardrum has assured that his team will strive to be more efficient and clinical in converting their chances after their 1-0 narrow victory over Cameroon in Abuja. Nigeria reached the final round of the African qualifying series for this year's Women's Olympic football tournament after Esther Okoronkwo's 15th-minute goal on aggregate. Wardrum hailed the players for their performance, especially Deborah Abiodun, whom he said was fantastic in the midfield, noting that they play a bit direct due to the tactics of the opponent, while expressing full confidence in the team. He, however, decried the harsh weather conditions, saying he prefers playing under the light since most of his players are based in Europe. The final round fixture between nighttime champions of Africa, Nigeria, and reigning African champions, South Africa, will be played in April. That's Sport News. I'm Adeni Ajishafe.
And that brings us to the end of tonight's bulletin. Thank you most kindly for joining us. As always, we encourage you to follow us across our social media platforms to catch up with more of our contents. And of course, check out our website, trusttv.com, for the latest news and documentary. My name is Abdullahi Ahmed. For myself and the rest of the team, thank you for joining us tonight.